Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. Welcome to another edition of ExtraTyne. This is the week at a glance for Newcastle fans. Other fans are welcome. Everton fans probably already watching at this point. My name is Emil Franchi. I'm joined by my co-host Jess, as always.
Hello.
Looking
Hi.
very bright at the moment. Yeah. See the light.
Don't. Did I turn it down a bit?
I don't know. We've got these
We're gonna have to amend as we go along, I think. Is that better?
Oh, that's actually quite good, yeah.
There we go.
There we go. We'll see you, so it's all right. We've also got Shell back on for obvious reasons this week because there's been stuff going on. But also we wanted to see her brand new Newcastle top.
Isn't it great?
I love it.
I want to tell
So
you
what's that one? Is
but...
that Newcastle goalkeeper home?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I mean, I don't pull it off quite like...
Each week you come on, Shell.
But...
You don't convince me that you actually support Newcastle.
I know. I've seen none of the matches this week as well.
In it for the followers. In it for the followers, aren't you? That's all it's for. And as well as that, we're joined by Lee Forster.
Evening.
He's got his full little lad's bedroom there behind him. He's got the flag on the wall. He's got his away kit going. I was expecting the Tino Espria kit, given that it's the anniversary.
No, I haven't got that one.
Not in your collection.
Well, it was in my collection, but the amount of shirts I've lost over the years.
You've told us you've lost this FA Cup final programme before we started recording. Is it just like the late 90s? You just like lost everything.
House moves.
Were you involved in some sort of mugging with lots of Newcastle stuff while you were on that move? But yeah, good to have you all on board. Last week it was new season eve. There was a little bit of excitement in the air. Jess, were you quietly confident?
Don't honestly. Was I quietly confident? I do believe
Tell us
I
about
said
your prediction. Come on, I've got to say.
I do believe I said Callum Wilson would score and would win 2-0.
And the oracle.
I'll not say whether or not I put.
Did you put the bet on? Did you put the bet
of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. No, I absolutely didn't. And I'm furious.
Let's just say you would have put you wouldn't have put Callum Wilson to score first, or something like that.
No.
We'll give you that one. But
moving on.
Whatever you say this week, get that money on, everybody. It's on Jess. Yes. We will start off with the big moment from the last week. Other than Callum Wilson being spotted in Eldon Square doing some shopping, big boxes and everything as he moves into his life in Newcastle. Does anyone know where he's living? I know we've seen where Sam Maximan live. People have been really stalking him this week, but somewhere in the northeast.
I'll get on it.
Get on it.
It won't be Kenton, will it?
Probably not. No. Jeez. Yeah. He's a lovely one-bedroom apartment in Benwell. Yes, the big moment was Newcastle United 2, West Ham 0. We went to the London Stadium, came back with all 3 points. A solid performance, you might say, from the lads, but that has got to be the perfect start, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, though, I predicted we were going to lose.
Sorry, you thought we were going to lose?
I predicted we were going to lose. Yeah,
I think it was a mixture of two camps. I think that a lot of people thought we were maybe getting too ahead of ourselves with the new signings, but they settled in quite nicely. We know Wilson got the goal, Lee, but Jeff Hendrick was the one that didn't really grab the headlines when he arrived, but certainly grabbed them on the night.
First half, I think Hendrick struggled to get into the game. But second half, he came in with his own, didn't he? He gave so much backup down the flank. He did. And that finish, I don't know where he pulled that finish from. It was absolute class.
It helped that West Ham seemed to be scared of the ball at that point. Yeah. It was almost like something heavy was coming towards them. But, Jeff Hendrick is one of those players that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about comparing him to ex-Newcastle players and what role he kind of fills. If he's filling a gap, what gap was it that was needed in that role, Lee?
I think he had a lot of energy. And I think that's one thing that we need, especially when you've got the likes of Shelby in midfield and what have you, because he did tuck in a lot. He did. A lot of energy, helping Hayden, protecting Hayden as well. So in terms of his role, I think he's still to find his role. I do think that he'll end up in the central midfield.
Yeah.
I do think he'll move inside.
Certainly an interesting start from Hendrick, and like I say, he wasn't the headline grabber of the Wilsons and the Frasers. It was very much that free transfer that came many moons ago. But we were up against West Ham, Shell, your neck of the woods, but they didn't look good, did they? I mean, they looked as though they were a team that is starting the season with David Moyes, and he's just said that they're going to be facing a relegation battle this season, which sounds like a team in red and white a few years ago. What is it about West Ham?
It's always a bit of a goal fest, isn't it, against West Ham? So I didn't know how we'd actually get on. Obviously know that we hate them and their stadium's an absolute nightmare to go along to. But yeah, they just didn't really get into it. Like, they kind of played like we could have played if we hadn't been a bit more organised. I think that's why it's always quite an interesting, difficult to predict, unless you're Jess, game. So I think... yeah, I think, it remains to be seen how we'll get on against other opposition and how much of the ball the players that we've already talked about will get against, decent teams who have invested in the transfer window. But I just think it was a good opportunity for us to be a bit positive about our team, actually. So I don't even want to give West Ham all that airtime. I thought we looked really good.
Yeah, and what about Declan Rice, Jess?
I mean, oh, quite. There was a video that went around on Twitter.
Oh yes,
which was Declan Rice's highlights, and it had really anthemic music in the background, and it was just him getting halved and bottling it. It was him with Isaac Hayden. He was horrendous.
It was quite funny, actually, just saying about the anthemic music. I don't know if anyone did hear it, but it was actually a version of Starboy by The Weeknd and Daft Punk, but the singing was purposefully off key and all over the shop, which was very, very much like his performance.
Absolutely, yeah. It was awful. It was absolutely. I think is like I feel like there's quite a few players like that who they're being hyped up, and when it comes down to it, like especially on Saturday, he was shocking. He's like I can't see any reason as to why he is being hyped up, because he was dreadful. He bottled everything. He was terrible, absolutely terrible. Hilarious.
I could ask Shell about this, but Jess, do you see Hayden perhaps getting that elusive England call up for a Newcastle player?
I'd like to think so, but I want to say it quietly because
predict things now. We need predictions.
Well, yes, I do. Sorry, Shell. I'm sorry, Shell.
For anyone who's there down myself.
yeah, purposefully. For anyone who's unaware, Shell is not Hayden's biggest fan. Have you warmed to him at least, Shell, since we had our awards night? I mean, that was a long time ago last season.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago, although the hangover feels like it was yesterday.
Oh, God.
Look, I feel like I did say some good things about him. I think he's very solid. I just think it's really an indication of where Newcastle United fans are, that he's the kind of player that we have to get excited about and consider a player of the season. If that had been any other club, you'd be like, what on earth, But yeah, he's solid. And good performance, I would say. Not bitter.
Yeah.
Good performance, credit where it's due.
Yeah, and prior to that, we did have the news that him and Carl Darlow were signing new contracts. I mean, I've never seen a contract like it for Isaac Hayden, but 6 years at Newcastle. That's a hell of a commitment to a club for someone who said that they were going to be potentially leaving at some point for personal reasons. 6 years in Newcastle, you might as well just start drinking in the garter and just have done with it. And we've got some other positives to look forward to. But starting off on the right foot there, 3 points against West Ham. I'm particularly buzzing about that still. No doubt to be shot to bits by the time we get to Sunday. However, Newcastle did win again, which is very strange. 2 opening games for the first time in God knows how long. It didn't feel like Newcastle won on Tuesday night. We beat Blackburn Rovers at St James's Park. Cracking atmosphere on the night. A less comfortable display from Newcastle, though. We did get a goal for Ryan Fraser. He started the game, Lee. That just completed the set, didn't it, for the debutants?
Just start by saying that's a tenner I'm never getting back. Muggins here, what you call it. My lad made me pay the tenner so you could watch it on a decent stream.
Guilty on that one as well.
So I couldn't be accused of.
Look at this decent stream that Shell, you need to pay the tenner, man.
I'm back.
Yeah, okay. Blimey.
But listen, Tuesday night for me was just like giving some players a run out, wasn't it? Getting some match fitness in. I thought Fraser looked like he hadn't played for 6 months.
Yep. Yeah,
I think
snapshot from Shell. Did I say Shell? Hey, I prefer it when Daryl's messing around with his bloody Wi-Fi. Shell's dropped her phone and taken a screenshot for anyone who missed that. Sorry, Lee, you were saying Ryan Fraser, something along those lines.
No, it did look like somebody who hadn't played for 6 months. He was blown out of his arse when he came off.
He was
After
knackered.
60 minutes. But what you have to say was a cracking finish.
Oh yeah, totally. And the only one who looked like scoring at the same time. We'll get onto our number 9 shortly. But I think the other thing to mention is Miguel Almiron didn't start 2 games for Newcastle this season. He's had 2 assists in both games. So is he proving a point, Shell, do you think, Almiron, by setting up Hendrick and then the brilliant pass that everyone's commended on Twitter over the last few days?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just think he's just exactly the kind of player that we can all get excited about, because I think he's really enthusiastic, to play for the team. And I think that's why we've got so excited about the likes of Callum Wilson, because I think they're just the kind of players that are really enthusiastic to have the shirt. And I think, yeah, Miggy's like, maybe I won't be in the starting lineup, but every time I come on, I'll show you exactly what I can do. And I thought he did that. I didn't actually see the game. The only thing I felt a bit sad about was, obviously, everyone had been proper buzzing and positive after West Ham, and I kind of switched on Twitter after that game, and I saw a lot of Joelinton hate, and I saw a lot of negativity. So, yeah, I've obviously caught up on some of the highlights, and I thought Almiron had a great game, and I think we should probably try and just celebrate a few more of those positives.
Yeah, definitely up there. Almiron, Shell, do you reckon Almiron should be starting each game, or do you think it's better having him as that impact, even though we paid so much for him?
I think technology's winning tonight, isn't it?
I know. I've gone off as well now. It's these USB things. It happens every week. There's a moment where I do go dark. Sorry, Shell.
I think it's really exciting that we've got some players that can come off the bench and be impact subs. I think if Almiron carries on making an impact, then he'll definitely be in the starting lineup. But what a lovely position that there's someone challenging,
Yeah, I mean, it does make a hell of a difference that Newcastle actually have some depth. That's the one thing that everyone was saying. And I think one of the things to take away from that game in particular was that we have actually got players who haven't played for God knows how long, Ryan Fraser being one of them. So hopefully things can get better. But Joelinton, it does seem like a lot of fans were perhaps tainted by the view that we played so well on Sunday, and it was a quick jolt back down to earth on Tuesday night of what the team is without those new signings. Jess, did you have sympathy for Joe?
I have done in the past, but I feel it's getting to the point now where, and to quote a phrase which I've seen thrown about a lot on Twitter, maybe it's time now to just cut our losses and just accept we've paid 40 million for him, 40 million. He's never going to be the player which we wanted or expected. So he's had his chances, he's blown them. I didn't see the game the other night. I've seen like a few highlights and stuff. None for Joelinton, I'll add.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say he doesn't. I don't think he wants to be there. I was kind of on the mindset that like without the crowd being on his back, maybe that'll give him a little bit of a boost, because he's not going to have people like on him every time he gets a touch of the ball. But even that's not working. So maybe it is time to just think, right, we just need to leave him out if we can get rid of him. Seen people saying, well, I'd take 20 million for him. Who is going to watch last season and offer 20 million for him? Like, totally. I think we just need to take what we can get rid and move on. I think it's time. And that upsets us to say, because I don't like being negative about our players or any players, in fact.
I think you're allowed to be negative, certainly, when a player looks like it's never going to change. I think that Twitter was primed and ready after seeing Joelinton's name on the sheet and going, I can't wait for him to miss. And you know, he did have a couple of things in that game, Lee, from seeing it ourselves. There was the one where he ran forward. Jacob Murphy was on the left-hand side. I think it was in the second half. Yeah. Through on goal. Jacob Murphy who looked bright, to be fair to him, but for a player who's not played for Newcastle for a season. He was there open. Joelinton took the shot and it almost rolled along the ground towards the Blackburn keeper, and that was where you could have put the game to bed. I think
that was literally about 10 seconds after I messaged you in the group chat to say that anybody who paid 40 million for Joelinton had to be on fair drugs.
Yes, definitely, exactly, and that's the thing. And he did go off, but prior to that, he did have the ball in the back of the net, albeit it was offside. It's such a shame, but I think if anything, the glaring omission from the squad now is a backup striker. It's for the games where Wilson won't play. We do need a backup striker who's in there who we can just slot in. So. Yeah, I don't like the fact that Joe Linton sends Twitter into a frenzy. I mean, Lee, where do you sit on it now?
It's become a distraction.
Yeah.
As you said, Jesse's become a distraction. As soon as you see his name in the lineup, people are ready to go at him. Doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't matter what he does. The lad's bereft of confidence. He hasn't had any confidence since probably last September.
Tottenham.
He hasn't. Yeah, but he doesn't. What he doesn't do himself any favours because he looks so lethargic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very, very, for a big lad, he's lightweight on the ball. He gets bundled off the ball left, right and centre by centre-halves.
Yeah, he was falling over every 2 minutes.
For somebody that big, he should have a little bit more about him. Now, nothing sticks. I mean, it's what you call total contrast to Andy Carroll on Saturday night. Everything stuck. He won everything in the air. Joe Linton wins nothing in the air. He can't hold the ball up. I just think, as you say, Jesse's cut your losses, but what are you going to get for the bloke?
Exactly. That's
learning to play like Spartans. I think
it's like
for a season.
It's a vicious cycle now, though, because he's obviously got no confidence. But then, as you say, not us, but like our fans are jumping at the chance to get on his back, which is obviously going to knock his confidence even more, which is going to make him play worse, and it's just going to go round and round. So I think it's time to just call it a day and just.
The club won't sell him though.
It's sad to say, but just call it a day.
The club won't let him go.
Certainly not going anywhere this window, is he?
No.
Perhaps a loan spell in some time to come. But yeah, it disappoints me because like you say, Joe Linton is that distraction. Everyone loves to have a go, and I think that a lot of people, in particular, enjoyed having a quick pop at Newcastle on Tuesday night. You might say, a lot of those tweets looked like they'd been written on Sunday morning. To be honest,
they're in the draft.
Didn't get to use these last night, so I'll use them on Tuesday. But is it just me, or is that not another symptom of Brucey ball? Like, you know, everyone's saying about if you keep playing Joe Linton in that position, or if you keep playing him on his own up front and never change anything else, like even go so far as to put some support in there for him, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean,
anyone. Sorry, I should delegate there. Jess, you're my go-to now.
It's a bit the whole situation with him. It's just a bit of a I'm just going to repeat exactly what I've already said. It's just a bit of a mess.
It's just a Joe Linton.
Let's be fair though. We played a different formation Tuesday to the formation we played Saturday. I think if you play the formation that we played on Saturday, Saturday night, on Tuesday, and Joe Linton's got somebody to play off him, he has a different game.
Yeah, totally.
So Bruce, in effect, has hung Joe Linton out to dry to a certain degree because he's put him up top on his own. And he didn't have any foil.
Michelle, what were you going to say?
I think Jess is saying, like, you know, it's sad because obviously the Geordies don't like to, you know, give up on people. But I just think maybe for him, he actually it would be a good thing to go to a different club. It just hasn't worked. And like everyone's saying, it's just whatever combination you try. It's interesting that you say that you think Bruce has kind of hung him out to dry. I think it's interesting because Bruce is obviously going to be thinking, this is not my signing, right? And I've just been kind of lumbered with it. So it's interesting that that's the kind of perspective you've got. I just think it speaks volumes that I saw none of the game. I logged onto Twitter and all I saw was an absolute bashing of this guy. You know, how on earth are we expecting him to be able... I'm sure he hasn't got social media. I'm sure he's not reading, you know, Joe from South Shields tweets. But if that's what's coming out of this whole game, like, it must be affecting him, you know, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, Bruce must see something in him though, like he must see something in training or whatever to be continuing to give him a chance.
Yeah, price tag.
He did say Bruce was quick to say that Joe Linton does work his socks off, if you like.
He did.
And you know, to some extent, I do see how that happens. But my other point against the whole Blackburn game is that Blackburn came to they didn't come to play pretty football. They were tight. It was cagey. It was reminiscent of a championship game. I remember saying to myself, I was like, I'm so glad we're not in that league because teams can be a right bastard to play against. And we made Blackburn look a bit like Brazil. But then again, they were probably playing that out of their skins to beat a Premier League team. Bit of a chance for them to have a cup run, so you never know what the factors are on the night. Joe Linton could go and play against Morecambe, which he probably will, and he could bang 3 goals in like he did for against a couple of goals like Rochdale, the Oxford game, and things like that. So, God knows what's going to happen next. Morecambe away is on Wednesday, the 23rd of September. I believe we'll find out who we get in the next round tonight. The draw is probably taking place later as we speak. Can't wait for Chelsea. But just down the road on the same night, almost changed over the stream, as I said on Twitter. Kel Watts scoring a goal for Plymouth Argyle, everybody. Good on the lad. Why did we let him go? You know, he could have played up front. But my favourite thing about this, apart from everyone going mad for it on Twitter, he's become a bit of a topic in recent weeks. He was sponsored by Double Glazing Windows, which is the purest thing I've ever seen. He's traded in the bright lights of Newcastle for Plymouth on the south coast, sponsored by Double Glazing, which prompted me to think, guys. Starting with you, Shell, perhaps, with your law background, what would you be sponsored by if you were a footballer? What would be your match day sponsor?
Oh, it's got to be booze, hasn't it?
Just booze
or burgers.
We could have a bit of that. Booze and burgers. I'm thinking you've got your kind of Fosters tonight. Fosters would be a good one.
So I'm on like rogue situation here.
It's like a 15-year-old's birthday party.
Literally, I should be in the park, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah. It was like a group of 6 only, of course. Jess, what are you going for?
Me and Shell are actively trying to get this sponsored by alcohol, but I would say maybe
sponsor the podcast.
Something, yes, anyone. Something maybe like Lush, like the bath bomb people. Yeah, so I could get like free bath bombs, free like stuff like that.
You'd smell amazing when you got on the pitch. The players would be distracted.
I'd smell amazing, and everyone would love us for their Christmas present. If I got Secret Santa in the team, you'd get a big thing of Snow Fairy. I'd be everyone's favourite person.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Lush.
Got to be a better Secret Santa than when Dietmar Hamann played for Newcastle and got a copy of Mein Kampf for Secret Santa. Lee, what would you be sponsored by, sir?
Toughy, but I would have to go for the Bellegraph Nova Group.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
just because I want to meet those 3 Sims.
Yeah,
because that's what they are. Let's be honest, they're not real, are they? But if I was
artificial
sponsored by
intelligence solutions or something like that, I like it.
I just want to meet them, or Clear TV, so I can meet Henry Morris.
Yeah,
and see if he's real.
See if that man is actually real. I think Jess has that lovely cushion behind him. May I add? I think that he's going to pop out of there one week.
Just you wait. He's behind City.
As he is, Henry Morris. Keep your head down.
Closely followed by Luke.
We're waiting for a little lull in the crack, and then he's just going to come up.
Lull in the crack? It's been going on for a while, I'll tell you that. Every time I speak, I'll have you know. There's no more football that's happened this week. The biggest outrage as a Newcastle fan is, why the hell have we not signed anyone this week, man? Come on, I mean, it's like, look, the lights have gone out as soon as I said that. Jesus, it's a fast-faced ring light. You know, it's what happened. I need to keep clicking me blooming laptop. Jesus, don't have this on a football ramble. The players we need, who do we need? I mean, that is the question. We've had no incomings. We've got a trialist French guy. I don't know anything about him. If you do want to know a little bit more about him, Matty did a video on the channel last night. There's also this South American guy that's been teased, a Peruvian, Rodrigo. There's been a few Rodrigos around this transfer window, but until they are literally in the tunnel with the scarf and someone in the ground is randomly taking a photo of them, I don't know what to believe. The main thing I think this week is Deadwood's kind of gone out, Lee. We've seen Muto, Lejeune go. We touched on Lejeune last week being quite a talented player who has succumbed to injuries, but he's off to Alaves and hopefully he'll come back stronger. Muto, on the other hand, Lee, he's just one that has never really had the impression, has he?
We've not had much luck with German signings, have we? Or signings from Germany.
No, it just isn't happening with
those. Just hasn't worked out for him. I mean, he's energetic, but I just don't think he's cut out for the Premier League.
Yeah, like so many.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think he's cut out for the Premier League. It's a different type of football, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a real shame. I mean, he'll always have those moments, I guess, Muto. Who can forget that first half against Man United, Jess?
Yeah.
When all seemed possible.
I know. I think, like touching on the people that we've let go, like Lejeune and now Muto, I think I just wanted to say that I admired Bruce's honesty in the in the I don't know if it was a press conference or an interview or whatever.
I think it was a press conference before the Blackburn game. I think this was what he said. Yeah,
when he I think there was 5 players that he listed, and like he commended them all, and he said they were all very professional. But if they want to progress their career, they're going to have to go elsewhere. And I thought I really admired that. Like I thought it was very honest of him, but he was very professional about it as well.
What do you think he really wanted to say? What do you think you really wanted to say?
Pile of shite, these two Raffas, bloody get him out, man.
No, I don't. I think he said exactly what he wanted because he's just nice. He's just nice, and that's
nice
what he
guy,
wanted
Bruce.
to say. He's just a nice guy.
He does certainly seem as though he's speaking honestly. I mean, we've done the big bits of business, and now it's a case of sell or move on to get more. There's talk of Christian Atsu being out the door eventually. But I was going to say, we mentioned this in the WhatsApp today, these players that come and go and they make no impact, but you've got those little memories of them. Muto with that first half against Man United. He also scored that goal this time last year against Leicester in the League Cup, I'll have you know. But Shell, have you got another player who kind of appeared and then was gone in a flash, but you had quite fond memories, even though he was only in black and white for, a few years or months?
When you asked this question, I did do a bit of research because normally what happens is I get pissed and you ask me and I don't know what I'm doing.
I've learned from my mistakes.
No. So for the quality of the podcast, I wrote down Hayden Dumbia, who played 29 minutes for us and then nothing else.
Christ, I mean, I wasn't going that far. I mean, I thought at least we're going to get some memories in here. I couldn't even tell you what he did.
No good chat.
Did you like him?
I mean, I just think, what were we thinking? We got relegated and we're like, right, what we'll do is we'll just sign this really great player and then never actually play him.
That was just before we went down, wasn't it? I think maybe he sent us down. Who knows?
And then CM De Jong, which was a long cycle of our petition to get a decent striker.
Again? He lost 2 legs. He ruptured
injuries
his arm.
Galore.
Yeah, did he not injure himself when he was having tea or something?
I'm pretty sure he burst
a lung. He got contact lens. Yeah, he burst a lung, but he got contact lens injury as well.
Like it was almost like watching someone just get hurt every time they left the house. It's the same thing happened to Michael Bridges.
Wasn't he the Dutch captain as well at the time?
He was. I think, Christ. I mean, it seemed. I genuinely shiver every time I find out about the whole punctured lung because I'm like, what you mean? It's like put a pin in it and it's like popping like a balloon or something like that. I'm like, it's just not worth thinking about. But the poor guy, I mean, what was it? Jason McAteer scalded his balls on a kettle, so God knows. Right. I mean, for me, I was just popping mine in there. I was going to say the likes of Hugo Viana. Never really made a massive impact at Newcastle, but boy, he's got those memories of that Feyenoord game and that free kick. And Albert Luque for me, another one with fond memories against the Mackhams. Jess, have you got any?
I've got one, and it's not even for a football reason, and I mentioned him last week as well, so I'm at risk of turning into a fan club of Kevin and Babu, purely because he played 3 times or made 3 appearances. And when he signed, I went down to visit my friend in Leeds, and a cat came into our uni halls, and she was like, "What should we call him?" And I was like, the first name that came into my head because we just signed him. I was like, Kevin and Babu.
Kevin and Babu the cat.
This cat on the Uni of Leeds campus ended up being called Babu because of
What, officially that was his name?
Yes, he literally moved into my friend's flat, and he was called Babu. So for a non-football reason, he played literally 3 times.
He played 3 times, and he also put in performances worthy of the Ballon d'Or at that point. But according to some Newcastle fans.
I don't even. I'm not even sure where he's playing now. But
I think he went to
Young Boys Burn.
Young Boys,
because he was massively hyped. I think that's why the name was in my head, because we signed him and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's going to be this, he's going to be that." Nothing ever transpired, but he got a cat named after him. So
he had big hair.
What can you want?
If you've got big hair, apparently you're a great player.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Lee, are you gonna? I was with someone with big hair. Did you have anyone in mind?
I had 3 that sprung to mind. First one was Hayden Dumbia, so I'm not going to mention.
So straight in there.
Second one was Albert Luque.
Oh my God.
The third one, nobody's going to come up with. A chap called
Fabrice
Pancrat.
Oh my God.
Can I just say, see that scribble out there?
Have you got him down?
That
No
was
way.
So literally one of the worst footballers you've ever seen, but he had a 15-second spell at Newcastle where he was a cross between Ronaldo, Pele, and Messi.
Watford in December.
Against Watford.
Watford, December 2000.
It was just like his soul had been taken over by Pele for 15 seconds. And then after that, he went back to being Michael Chopra.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
It was crazy.
I can't remember. I'm sure it was recently in lockdown where they put I think they wished him a happy birthday and they put his video on.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just imagine that you're like 15 minutes as a Newcastle player, and that is what you did, and it was an amazing goal. I did put on Twitter that night actually, just in case this got lost in it. My favourite thing about that was I got the bus home, and there's a guy who got on. He was eating a packet of quavers. That's not part of the story, but it sticks in my mind that he was eating a packet of quavers. He became known as Quaver Man, and he was like, "Oh, you see it again?" We're like, "Oh, fella, pancake." I went. Just wonderful. Fabrice Pancrat, long may he reign as a Newcastle brilliant one. So, Shell, let's talk about the other thing that's been boiling on in the background. Another change in the last 24 hours, it may seem. Mike Ashley lawyered up at the start of the week with Blackstone. What was it? Blackstone Chambers. That's not two names. It's the Blackstone Chambers. Any good? Would you rate them out of 10?
Yeah, they're incredibly good. Yeah.
Yeah, and Newcastle. Well, Mike Ashley. It's going to be representing them. What can you tell us about who he's signed up for this, like the lawyers and stuff, and what exactly this might mean going forward?
So I'll be brief, just because you've told me to be.
I'm just going to sit back here because this is where the viewers come in.
So you firstly instruct solicitors. So he instructed Dentons, who are his usual solicitors for litigation matters. They're very aggressive litigators in the business. And then the solicitors will instruct barristers who are self-employed and belong to a chambers. Obviously, they've instructed 2 Silks, QCs, who are very experienced, very expensive. And they're both pretty much experts in their fields. Like Nick DeMarco is like the go-to guy for sports. He's not messing about. He's going to be £600 an hour. If he's watching it and he's less, do drop me a DM and I'll take it back, because I hate when people think you earn more than you do. And the other Silk, she's a human rights expert. People were jumping in my DM saying, is that not a bit controversial? Well, it's a controversial issue. You want somebody who cares about human rights, right? So good team, expensive team, decent team. He obviously means business, because you could just get a baby junior if you weren't serious about it. I saw today on the group chat that they've taken it down off their website. For me, that probably is because I took a brief look at Nick's Twitter, and he was trying to talk about his new seaside home, and he was being bombarded to fuck by Newcastle fans. For me, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not still happening. It just probably means, like everything in this takeover, let's take a step back and keep the fans just a little bit at bay until we work out what's happening. So there's so many unknowns. I've never pretended to be in the know to know exactly what's going on. As soon as things come out, I will generally tweet about them. I think for now, we should concentrate on the football. I think if Mike Ashley is appealing the decision, I think that is to do with the decision itself. If I saw that George Colkin said today it's to do with them not making a decision. If that's the case, then I think he's got a pretty good chance of arguing, because the Premier League have to make a decision. As soon as they make the decision, everything else follows, right? So we find out on what basis they made the decision. The lawyers can start preparing an appeal. But for now, I think, look, we've got Brees for now. We've got, Callum Wilson. We've got a couple of exciting strikers. Well, only one exciting striker, but got a good team. Like
Andy Carroll, please.
I wanted him to score so much. It hurt.
I think everybody does. Just one final question, Shell. I know that you mentioned about what George said about this and what the aim was. What do you think the actual aim is? Do you think that this will just be resolution of what should have happened with the Premier League and then we go from there? Or do you think that this will open the door and as Summer's saying, possibly tempt others back to the table?
It's difficult to say because Mike Ashley is very unpredictable. I feel like with my knowledge of him in the legal sector, he will have a fight just to say he's having a fight if he knows that, even if he knows there's no chance of winning. So I think it's quite difficult to know what he wants. Probably money, but I think ultimately he wants to call the Premier League to account. And I think the only way that he can challenge it is by challenging the decision itself. And if he does that for the purpose of compensation, he's also going to get clarity on whether PIF should be allowed to take over. Whether they're still interested or not, who knows? We've not had any fucking clear information from anybody. They're not behaving like, you know, a consortium that still want to take over the club. But I think it's good. I think it's you know, I'm not saying that any of us are for a second going to forgive Mike Ashley for what's happened or be on his side, but I do think the fact that he's
cans, by the way, just
cans. He's you know, he's engaging with this process and calling them to account, I think is important. But that might just be because I'm a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've summed it up pretty well there. That's probably the most silent I've been in weeks. It's exactly what I want to hear, and I think that is pretty much the only answers that you can get. Jess, Lee, did you have anything you wanted to add or ask about that?
I've been concerned about PIF since they released the statement saying they were withdrawn, because they said they'd withdrawn on economic grounds. Yeah. And they've never said anything to change that stance. So as much as Ashley might be parking his tanks on the lawn, as you say, I just wonder whether there's any possibility of PIF coming back. You hear noises about, they're all still willing parties, they're still willing buyers and whatever. But the last we heard from PIF, they withdrew on economic grounds. And we've not heard anything to change that. So
yeah, I know. Jess, did you have anything, or shall we move on to the future?
Let's move on to the future.
Let's talk about the future.
It's been covered. It's been covered.
I know. We had to get that in. We can't have Shell on our podcast because there'll be a riot in her mentions tomorrow. More than there already is, believe me. Right. So on to the next game. Brighton at the weekend. We've got a Sunday trip. What a shitter for the away fans who have to travel all that way down there. Brighton, who lost to Chelsea 3-1 at home on Monday night. That one was against Chelsea, who are clearly looking like real contenders this year. However, Brighton did give them a fight. Jess, did you see any of that game? Have you seen anything of Brighton, or what do you think of Brighton?
No, I've not seen anything. I did not see the game on Monday, and I've not seen anything. I'm solely
they're playing right now, actually.
Oh, really?
I think they're in the cup right now, actually, which is strange. Someone did actually mention it's very strange that Brighton have got a game and then have got another game on Sunday. But I think this is the schedule of this season. But
it's Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's podcast day, Jess. We're here. We're back in the room. What if something just fell there? Sorry, Jess. Go on.
But no, I've not seen. I've not seen the pre-season. I didn't see anything on Monday. I'll be solely basing what I'm expecting, what I'm hoping on what I saw of us on Saturday, because I'm not even considering the game against Blackburn on Tuesday. So I'd like, given the fact that they lost, I'd like to think that that's dented their confidence a little bit. And given the fact that we're going into it on the back of 2 wins, I'd like to think that that's given us a little bit of hope. And the fact, like, how well we played on Saturday, like, for the first time in a very long time, we were an absolute joy to watch. Like, I enjoyed watching us. There was never any point when I felt uncomfortable, and I was like, I was never like stressing and thinking like we're on the back foot or anything like that. So going into it, I don't want to say too confident, but I'm going into it fairly confident.
Yeah,
this
fair
weekend.
enough. That's good. I mean, Brighton are one of these teams who we are, you'd like to think, are expecting to be around the same place as us. But a lot of people are saying about Graham Potter being a good manager. We saw glimpses of Brighton last season. We had 2 absolutely dreadful games against them, however, that no one will remember. But yeah, Shell, have you heard much of Brighton? I know they had a bad start with the new signing Adam Lallana going off injured on Monday. But what do you make of them as a squad?
I think they're a bit like us and a bit like West Ham, as you say. I think they're in the same kind of league, and I think it would be an interesting game. But I agree with Jess. Look, we're going in with a bit of confidence. We're going to play our first team. Who do you think will start in goal?
Well, it's going to be Darlow, I think. I think Darlow's going to be in there. Yeah, I mean, we should mention as well. Yeah, Mark Gillespie did get his home debut, which was a very proud moment for him. He dedicated it to a friend who passed, I believe, which was very moving. He got he got a nice little homecoming gig there. But I think Darlow is your Premier League man. I think you'll probably see, given how fast the games are coming. And Gillespie will be playing again against Morecambe. Morecambe. He might be playing against Morecambe in the meantime. Yeah, Morpeth Town, blimey, yeah, they've really risen up the leagues in this time. No, I think Gillespie will be playing against Morecambe. So Darlow in goal on Sunday, because I think he did all right against West Ham.
Yeah, he gets a lot of grief, but I thought he looked pretty solid. He looked fit actually, but he looked solid. So
if Darlow plays in the league and Gillespie plays in the cups, it begs a question: what happens when Dubravka comes back if we're still in the cup? Does Darlow then not get a cup game?
Well, looking at the cup games, I mean, you might say that, right? Well, Darlow technically is second choice. I think that you've got to be real at some point. I mean,
we're not going to be in the cup that long, are we? Fucking hell.
Honesty from Shell.
That's very real. That's so real. That's a bit too real.
That's more like it. I'm not sure. I know the Man City game that we don't like to talk about, so Darlow in goal, but I think that was more of a reward of him playing all of the FA Cup games. That was, of course, though, when we had to, for being fit. He got in there. Thank you, Shell. But that is the thing. It's like we've not been in this position before where we've got our main keeper out. You have to think that Gillespie's counting his blessings that he's getting this chance to do it, because if Dubravka was fit, it would very much be that Gillespie wouldn't be playing. So I think that if Dubravka comes back and if we're going to take the cup seriously this season with this new and improved squad, then who knows? Lee, did you see any of Brighton the other night? Did you think that I thought personally they gave Chelsea a bit of a game.
Yeah, they were going toe to toe. With Chelsea, it's 1-1. They were, and then Chelsea nicked it 2-1, and it seemed to suck the life out of Brighton. Personally, on Sunday, I want to see us go 4-2-3-1. I do. I want to see us start with Saints, Miggy in a 10, and Fraser on the right. I do, with Wilson up front, because Brighton's centre halves are cumbersome. They're slow. You've got Lewis Dunk, Ben White. I don't know whether he's going to be fit, and I think the pace of those front four will terrify the Brighton centre halves. I genuinely do. And if it doesn't work after 60 minutes, Carroll is an impact sub. We saw him last season. He causes havoc when he comes on for the last 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. So for me, I want to see us go 4-2-3-1 and see what that pace does, because teams are shit scared of pace. And we've got it in abundance with that front four.
Very frightening. And like you said, I mean, the only thing is with Carroll against Brighton, like you say, they have got the centre-backs that sometimes can negate Andy Carroll's ability, I would say. So that's probably a good idea with what you're saying there. So, hey, who knows? Wilson likes playing on the South Coast. Fraser likes playing on the South Coast.
It's in Newcastle.
So do we, yeah. Let's see what happens. Lee, we'll start with you. What's your prediction for Sunday?
3-1.
3-1 Newcastle?
3-1, yeah. I'm confident Sunday. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that confidence scares me. Shell, what do you think?
2-1 Newcastle.
Okay, Jess.
3-1.
3-1 Newcastle.
Yeah.
Quick, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Oh, yeah. Higher five on it, everyone.
Yeah, we need Ray Winston to pop up now so the latest odds are on your screen.
When the fun stops, stop.
Yes, please, of course. Do
well,
not
the fun
say Jess
stopped a long time ago as NUFC.
You know what? I'm going to go for a 1-0 Newcastle. I don't think it'll be high scoring because I think Brighton are quite tight and I think that we are not Chelsea. But yeah, let's go for a win.
On. Callum Wilson.
Hey, I'm still saying we're going to win. One thing I do know is my girlfriend said she'd let him put 2 in her, so let's move on.
Interesting.
That's not me, by the way. Can we just clear up?
Yeah. Someone assumed Jesse's just my girlfriend. Yeah, we have to appear on camera and in public at all times. So we are the new Harry and Meghan. Before we finish, apart from the brilliant news that Gareth Bale's coming back to the Premier League in his first game might be against Newcastle, it's in there. The big news this week: Stephen Taylor has joined Odisha FC in the Indian Super League, which has got to be one of the best stories ever. I can't wait to watch what happens there. His tenure in the Australian League was absolutely glorious. And you know what? I'm going to end things And we can all feel free to join in and clear the space around you. If we could all just finish with a good old impression of Stephen Taylor when he got hit by the ball against Aston Villa. Keep subscribing to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. Feel free to do a video of yourself doing the Stephen Taylor. Get in touch. Leave a comment if you want. If you've got anything about what you'd like to be sponsored by, the Newcastle players that have been forgotten about, because hopefully next week we'll have a little bit of a chat about it and we'll keep this rolling. Thanks for watching Extra Time. The feedback's been fantastic. And away the lads as always. Thanks, Shell. Bye. Thank you to Lee.
Cheers, guys.
And thank you, of course, to my beloved Jess.
Cheers, my lad.
This is starting the rumours, guys.
Keep fuel the fire. Thank you very much for watching. Keep subscribing, like the video, and tell your friends, and tell someone you don't like, and especially tell someone who doesn't like us. See you later. Thank you very much.